Welcome to Built Beautiful. I'm Nicole, biochemist, esthetician, and beauty industry veteran. You might not know my face, but you've definitely seen my work on the shelves of some of the biggest retailers in the world. After 2 decades on the scene, from global roles in top beauty companies to helping over 17 startups get funded and launched, I've seen it all. The wins, the lessons, and the real work it takes to build a brand that lasts. This podcast is your blueprint for launching, scaling, and leading in beauty, whether you're building your first product or your next empire. Because while we're all building in beauty, we're also building ourselves. You are the brand, you are the builder, and you, my friend, are built beautiful. What's up, beauty fam? Welcome back to another episode of Built Beautiful podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a question that I get asked. I can't even tell you the number of times a week. Somehow, some way, this question lands in my inbox, in my DMs, on the phone, on my socials. But how do I build a unicorn brand? I get asked this all the time, and a lot of founders that I talk to, everybody says like the same thing. And I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but I can't tell you the number of times I just hear it over and over. But they're like, we want to be the Apple of X, insert industry, product, category, la, la, la. And I think that's amazing because you have to have that kind of drive if you're building a brand. But Apple is a unicorn. And that means if you want to be the Apple of something, that you're going to want to build your brand as a unicorn. And I believe in the world of beauty that this is one of the few industries where building a unicorn is entirely possible. Our industry remains strong. Everybody says it's recession-proof. I would say parts of our industry are recession-proof, but we have consistent CAGRs, annual growth rates, year over year. It's always robust. The barriers to entry are very low. So I do think it's absolutely possible for our industry to hold a lot of different unicorn brands. Just to recap, a unicorn brand is a privately owned company that reaches a valuation of $1 billion or more, typically before going public or being acquired. But beyond the number, a true unicorn, so now we've got unicorns and true unicorns, pick your fave, is one that achieves rare scale and cultural dominance. And there are so many of these amazing brands around us. They become unicorns because they reshape their category. They do this by building loyalty. So loyalty could be emotional, it could be results driven, probably all of the above, and it grows so fast that investors do see it as 1 in a million. So in simple terms, it's really like the perfect collision of innovation, influence, impact, a business so unique that the market cannot ignore it, right? So I think that if you have a good idea, it can be a unicorn. But there are things that you have to do to build that unicorn. And it's something where I always say, like, okay, if you think that you're going to have a unicorn or you really want to have a unicorn, you have to do your business today. And this is like before we even get into like any of the other parameters. And I actually do think that we will deep dive this parameter later. But you have to do your business today and build your business today, day 0, day 1, like right now at the starting line, as if you are 5 years from today selling your company. So if you know that you want to build a unicorn, and typically if we're going to build that unicorn, it's because you want to have a massive exit acquisition, you have to plan today, build today, have a team today, put your systems in place today as if you were selling your company tomorrow. And we'll get into why that's important, I think, a little bit later in this episode. But the first rule, I guess, if you want to build your unicorn, you have to consider the power of category design. So you have to consider a category, not just a product. There are unicorns that originate with one product, and we'll talk about that in a second. But innovating your category is important because this is what allows you not to compete. It's what allows you to define. So brands that did this were like Fenty Beauty, Olaplex, Drunk Elephant. They didn't compete. They redefined a category. And because they redefined that category, they were able to innovate really fast. They captured new audiences very fast, and they did get unicorn status. So how to do that, you have to really anchor your innovation around a proprietary mechanism. So like a complex clinical data, a patented system, something unique, right? It doesn't have to be those things. Or like language that only you can use. Like if you look at the case of some of the brands out there like Clinical or Skinification, like something that's like really proprietary and unique to the brand. And so if you're sitting on an idea or like a good hero product, I would challenge you, like if you're really pushing for that unicorn status, I would challenge you to look at the category and just say, what category does this sit in? And examine and look literally at the entire category and say, like, what is this category missing? And how can we innovate to redefine this category versus like one single product, right? So some real world examples of that would be if you look at Good American. And it's funny, I'm using Good American in this podcast. I'm actually wearing Good American jeans. And my bestie / podcast producer, Janine, who you can't see, but we'll see eventually because she'll be on the podcast, I'm sure. She's just like, Nicole, I love your jeans. Where did you get them? I said, Good American. I love them. I love them because they fit my body properly. I do not have a body that fits normally in the majority of jeans. So I needed jeans that fit my body type. And guess what? Good American did that. But that's how Good American became the unicorn that it became. They looked at the category of denim. The world needed another pair of jeans, like it needed a hole in the head, right? It did not need another pair of jeans, but she looked at the category and really saw that the world of denim was not inclusive. It did not include curvy bodies. It did not include beyond like size 8 or 10. So she literally went and did denim that was engineered for every body. And she went all the way up to size 24. So showing diversity in size, diversity in many things in her campaigns. And so Good American redefined the category of denim. And from there, it was easy for her to launch and innovate quickly and come with new styles. And it's because they created a category, they created a world where every woman could see herself. And Kim Kardashian did the same thing with Skims. Like she took Spanx and said, okay, I have a product shapewear. It's going to compete with Spanx, but I'm going to look at the category as a whole. And what's the problem? Spanx aren't comfortable and they're not inclusive. They come in like 2 or 3 boring colors. So she redefined the category. So she used technology, comfort, inclusivity. You can go to the Skims website. You can see all of that very visibly in your face. So it's a solution wear category. She redefined the entire category and from there could innovate products. So if you look at Skims, like she has innovated a lot of different things. You have all of her shapewear, but even the nylon face wrap that she launched, because she's in a category of inclusivity, like it gives her a lot of room to build her unicorn. And she did exactly that. So really category creation is step 1 in the modern unicorn formula. And it's what takes your idea, as small or large as your idea is, it doesn't matter. But if you can nail the category piece, that's what turns your idea into a scalable movement. So once you do that, like once you stop fighting for space and start like redefining that standard, you can now build around your hero product. So having a hero product in the beauty world is absolutely necessary. Even if you're redefining a category, you still need a hero because like that hero SKU is going to anchor the sales of your brand and keep your brand steady and stable through like all of the cycles that our industry has. Like we all know that the beauty industry is driven by trends. You have things that are new. It's very fast moving. You have new ingredients that come and go. You have new textures that come and go, new colors that come and go, new founders and brands even that come and go. So when you're building, you really want to have your staple. You need that one product that's just like the one thing people can't live without. It defines your brand and that will give you like that consistent turn so that you can now innovate and keep up with those trends and build your category and launch new things quickly, but still have like that structured anchor to your business. So your hero should be based on a beautiful breakthrough. What is your breakthrough? What is that thing that's unique to your brand? It becomes your proof of concept. It's your marketing anchor. It's your long-term equity builder. As we said before, it's like that one thing that keeps people like coming back. It becomes that single, like really strong, undeniable promise that your entire brand can be built upon. So focus your launch on one product that solves a clear, emotionally charged problem. Make it to be so good and so different that it shows how you're going to redefine that category, and then you are off to the races. You'll get very deep traction on that SKU and get into that. So if you look at Olaplex had a hero. They launched with one product and it built an empire on one patented bond building treatment. Another example I think in our space would be The Ordinary. Like The Ordinary's niacinamide serum became a cult hero. It carried its entire lineup. They redefined a category and they got quickly acquired. Skims, okay, just kind of tying back to what we talked about before with her brand, like the sculpting bodysuit was so effective, it became the brand's calling card. And every future launch always like pointed back to that. So we can't deny in our space like the importance of having a hero product. So the third step on like really building up for your unicorn is what I'll say is building your brand moat early, right? So build a moat. First we build the moat and then we go out and drop the grenades. So we build the moat before we launch as much as we can. So your differentiation must be structural, not just visual. Once your hero product starts to gain traction, the most important next move is, and even before you launch, I would say, let me rewind on that. If you have already launched and you've not built your moat, you can start building your moat now. Build it now. If you're pre-launch, build your moat now. We really want you to protect the ecosystem that your hero in your category redefinition creates. So packaging, logos, aesthetics, all of these can and will be copied. Expect it. You have people who literally sit and spy on like the USPTO website and see what you're looking to trademark, and then they'll like run off and go and trademark it. Like it's really shady. Use a VPN if you're searching on your own, by the way. But things can and will be copied, but you need to build a moat around the things that are unique to you. So if there's any proprietary IP, data, story, architecture, words that are unique to you, something that's very specific to the brand, like you need to protect that as soon as possible. So if you have like a good technology, you probably can patent it. If not, definitely trademark all your taglines, your logos, everything like that. Like build up as much of a moat as you can. If for the only reason, like to be honest, I can't tell you the number recently of meetings I've sat in where we've been raising capital for a brand, or one meeting where there's a potential acquisition being discussed. And these investors always come back to the IP. They want to know, okay, if I'm giving you $2 million or $3 million of investment, or if I'm going to buy your company and now integrate it into this massive, think L'Oreal, Lauder, right, industry legacy company. Like, what am I really investing into? Yeah, we're buying you because you have customers, or we're buying you because you have a great product lineup. But what is that like protectable, investable thing that I'm really buying into? Even if it's just to satisfy the investment that you're going to take on or the sale that you're eventually going to get to, you need to build your moat, protect your IP. Get creative if you have to, but do that. So if you've got science, protect the science. File trademarks, copyrights, patents around your key mechanism if you're able to. Olaplex's bond building patent became its $1 billion moat, right? That technology is amazing. I have Olaplex in my hair as we speak. It's incredible. If it's not science, then own your language. So you could have proprietary vocabulary for your brand's technology. Think bond bar or a specific type of thing that's like specific to you. So you own the category conversation. That's actually really important because as you invest money, your marketing dollars, like the more of that you can protect, the easier your life will be as you start to grow. Also, you want to really consider controlling your supply chain. I'll probably do like an episode completely dedicated to supply chain, but you want to start to remove like any external factors that could really damage your business. And I have lived through this, and as seemingly simple as it seems, it's actually really important to control your supply chain. So if you are able to control sourcing your raw material, maintain as much exclusivity as you can with your lab partners, negotiate first rights to new biotech innovations, the fewer places people can come and knock you off, the better you are going to be when it comes to maintaining your position as a unicorn. And also codifying your experience. So like your protocols, your education system, any in-store rituals that you're doing, these are all protectable IP, right? IP doesn't just have to be science or an ingredient or a specific like mechanism of action once your ingredient gets into the skin. Like you can patent, trademark, protect all of your protocols, all of your systems. So get creative. If you need to consult an IP lawyer, I would. Building your moat, right? Build the moat, protect the baby, protect that baby, right? Your business is your baby, so we have to protect the baby. You could audit yourself, like if you're already in market, like you might want to take a few minutes to just step back and look at your brand with like an IP lens on. So like, okay, what IP do I have? Do we have weak spots? Like as we start to grow, as we start to take on money, as we start to consider being acquired, like where are our weak spots? And that might tell you if there's anything that you need to do, then document it, file it, name it, whatever you got to do. And then tell that story, tell your story. Once you protect yourself, like get out there and talk, because that's what the consumers want to hear. So, the next piece is something that some of you are going to love, some of you hate. I personally have like a love-hate relationship with this, and partly it's because a lot of what I do in terms of consulting is very strictly protected by NDA. Because I'm involved building products and brands and sourcing ingredients and things like pre-launch, I will never breach confidentiality for anyone that I've ever worked with. And so that makes it kind of hard for me to do this. But for you, if you're not bound by that, like build a founder brand in parallel, right? Like build your founder brand in parallel. Build yourself as a founder at the same time that you're building your brand. This is going to really help make the difference between being a unicorn or kind of like almost unicorn. And you do this by building thought leadership early. So getting on podcasts or starting your own podcast, publishing articles, educational content. Like you want people to see what it is you bring to the table. Because again, if you're going out to become a unicorn, you're going to do that. You're going to need money. You're going to need to attract investment. Investors want to know, do I have the right team in place? So it gives people an opportunity to see like all the genius that you bring to the table. You want to have visibility in investor and press circles. So as you grow and start to gain traction and momentum, like eventually you'll have PR and you want to be featured in that PR. You want to be visible. You want people to see you and know who you are. And this also allows you to really like align your personal mission with a brand purpose. And that does cause a lot of lift and it makes a big difference. So the next one is to really like engineer your community and retention, not just reach. It's easy to raise money, do some marketing spend and reach out and acquire new customers. It's not so easy to keep them, and it's even harder to build a community. You'll like when you survey our space, it's easy to see there are some people who are just naturally like inherently great at building community. And I'm so happy for you guys that are great at doing it. I'm not great at that. Many of us aren't because we're always behind the scenes doing our work, and there are people who can do that and build a community, others who it just freaks them out. It freaks me out, to be honest, if I'm being honest on this podcast. So to retain people and to build community is something that's important, right? It's not just about reach. We have to reach people and then retain them and then make them family with us. So what is it that we can do with our brand? So if you think about it as a whole, right, big picture, we have a hero product, we have a great technology, we are redefining a category, and then now we want to really form a community with the people who resonate with our category. And so this is really like where the difference is made with unicorn status is having that customer intimacy. Like, how do you talk to them? How are they talking back to you? How are you converting their loyalty? So is it like superficial loyalty? Is it like deep layers of loyalty? I think the strategy here has to be like how you loyalize those customers and keep them family with you through the journey. Like you're not going to hit. So let's just say in the typical beauty world, like if you want like that $1 billion valuation, you probably need like 100 million in sales. It takes a good 5 years all the way in to hit that number. So you have to consider how you're going to get there and how you're going to stay there. So that customer journey is not just like 1 and done or 3 and done, even though we always have attrition with customers. It's like, how do you keep them family for 5 years? How do you bring them on at year 1 and keep the relationship, deepen the relationship, and like optimize that relationship by year 5? So that's like something, engineering that community is mission critical. Now we've got really great AI tools. We have people who specialize in this and that can help you do it. This is a good one. Capital intelligence. How do you use your money? Smart money is better than more money. And so this means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I work with founders who are allergic to investors. I work with founders who don't care. They want the investors because they want the capital go out and grow. But I always say, regardless of how you feel, maybe some people have had bad experiences with investors. Some people may feel intimidated because they don't want another set of bosses. Either way, if you're going to bring them on, choose them who bring something strategic to your vision, not just the company. Can they help you redefine that category? Can they help you reach that community? Do they have distribution expertise? Whatever it is that you need, like you want to bring smart money, not just money, right? I have heard horror stories of people who accepted checks from the wrong person and have even lost their companies from that. So you want to be really careful when you're taking on money. And again, I'll probably do another episode on this because there's so much to consider. But if you are building a unicorn, as I said, you're going to need to raise funds. Unless you're just really lucky and you've been able to kind of like self-fund and self-grow. If you've done that, congratulations, because it's really hard to do. But you're going to need to have a clean equity structure. So keep a clean cap table. You don't want to avoid over dilution too early. If you sell too much equity up front, it becomes really harder to grow. If this is not so clear, definitely find somebody who, and you could even email us, like we're happy to talk you through this. We do it a lot, but consult a good business lawyer if you are looking at taking on money and you want advice on how to structure yourselves and structure your cap table. A good lawyer and a good CFO can probably get you through this process. And then build a 5-year valuation map and reverse engineer that back to today's decisions, like I said before. So if you know that you want to hit 100 million in sales in 5 years so that you can get that $1 billion valuation, then what do you have to do year 4, year 3, year 2, year 1? What does that look like in terms of forecast revenue? Multiple, how much equity you're going to give up, how much more do you have to raise to get over each growth hurdle. So smart money, always better than more money. Product market precision, you can't scale what hasn't been proven. So you want to validate your products early through clinicals, dermatology partnerships, whatever it is, influencer, whatever category you're in, you want to validate it with the people who are very important to that category. You want to lean into as much white label data as you can. You can look at Sephora sell-through, any Google search, ChatGPT. You've got lots of agencies out there with data. Like there's a lot of ways that you can kind of get data without having to buy like very expensive reports. And then from there, you can really see like where there's room for you to scale. Again, smart money. Be smart with your money. You can also simplify your SKU architecture. Unicorns are built on heroes. So you're going to need to innovate with multiple SKUs, but too many SKUs can kill your brand. So really think about product market precision. How many SKUs do you need to hit that number? Are they the right SKUs? What % sales do they have to be performing at to like really contribute to your overall portfolio? These are all things to consider. This one is the most important. These are all extremely important, but operational scalability. I've done a lot of work with brands that were being acquired by like one of the top 5. So think again, L'Oreal, Lauder, P&G, Unilever. And there are some brands who did achieve unicorn status and were obviously like the next acquisition targets. I have seen 2 of these epically fail. So get contacted by the company, get deep into the company's like due diligence process and have the big company pull out and not buy the company. Why? Because their operational scalability wasn't good. So it means that somewhere along the way, they didn't build their moat, right? So they didn't protect their IP. They didn't vet their suppliers. Maybe, actually, this did happen. I can't say the names of the companies, but it was a hair care line acquisition. And the big company that was buying the hair care line went to the lab that made one of their top products and vetted the lab, and they went through and vetted the suppliers of the raw materials of that lab. And they found that they did not fit the standard of this large company. So the large company pulled out and said, we can't replicate this. We're not willing to do the R&D to replicate this, and we can't validate this lab. So unfortunately, we cannot buy you. And that was an unfortunate story. It does happen. There are other versions of this that happen. The point is, as I said before, you have to build today for what you want to achieve in 5 years. If you want to be built by these big companies, that means that you have to make their life easy when it comes to integrating your brand into their system. So think how you keep your books, think how you keep your inventory, vetting your suppliers, making sure that everything is crisp and clean and clear. Early on, accounting, inventory, fulfillment, your team, document everything as if you would be audited or acquired tomorrow. No, that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but you really want to consider, talk to people who work there. Look at like Lauder, for example. Look at how their company's structured. Look at other brands that they've acquired and brought into the fold. What are some of those brand strengths and weaknesses that will help you plan today? My message is always work today like you're 5 years from today and build your company and audit your company there. So retro planning, your unicorn, your 5-year framework. Like the rule of thumb is year 1 is your foundation year. You're going to build your proof of concept, your IP, your brand story, your first 1,000 loyalists. So today, really, you should be focused on like securing your trademarks, finalizing your brand DNA, building your why, your hero SKU, all of those things. Like you're getting that foundation strong. Year 2 is validation. So you're validating product market fit, unit economics. You're running pilot sales. You're working on your messaging, gathering your data and learning from that data and using that to deepen the connection to your customers as you acquire them or keeping them or loyalizing them, making them family. Year 3 is scale year. So you're going to expand your distribution, look at your lifetime value. You're attracting more investors by this point. Now you're visible. Everybody knows who you are. The founder's getting pretty famous. And so here you're going to have a small, but you want to build a scalable team of people that you can trust, whose values and morals are aligned with you and can do a really freaking phenomenal job at what you've got them working on. You want to lock in reliable manufacturing at this point, optimize customer retention. Year 4 is acceleration. So by now you've raised significant capital and you've got your formula, you've figured out product market fit, you know who you're talking to, you know how you're talking to them. So now you're putting money on the fire. You're fueling the fire, grow, grow, grow. Year 5 is your exit. And congratulations, you've made a unicorn. So there's obviously a lot more that goes into it. These are kind of like the top line questions, but this is a lot of what I do, a lot of the work that I do, a lot of the consulting work that I do with my team. So if this is you and you've got questions or you want to talk through any of that, please send me an email, Nicole@globalaestheticsgroup.com. It'll be listed down below in the show description. But also something to leave behind. If you want to be a unicorn and you never reach unicorn status, by no means does that mean that you failed. It means that you are really succeeding because you have built a beautiful business. Really only 0.02%, like this is an incredibly small number, 0.02% of startups ever reach $1 billion valuation, right? That's it. 0.02% of startups reach a $1 billion valuation. However, there are strategic micro unicorns. You can build a micro unicorn all day long and still end up with a monster exit. Like 100 million plus exit is still a great exit and is becoming increasingly common. So sometimes it's good to consider that a unicorn brand or even a micro unicorn brand is not the brand that's the loudest. They are the brand that's the most engineered. If you know you want to be a unicorn and you've got a 5-year plan, build everything today, your P&L, your business plan, all of your strategy, build everything, your systems, your accounting, everything, vetting your labs, your language, your IP, your moat. Build it today as if you were 5 years from today. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this episode. I'm so thankful that you guys tuned in today. As I mentioned before, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions at all. You can subscribe to the podcast and download on Apple, on Spotify, anywhere else you may find your podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Built Beautiful. I hope today's conversation gave you something real, something practical, and something to move you forward. Remember, you already have everything you need to build beautifully. If you loved this episode, share it, leave a review, and tag me on social at Nicole Knows Skin so that I can cheer you on. Until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, and keep building something beautiful.